Today we're unpacking what is genuinely one of the most remarkable psychological and physical turnarounds in modern sports history. We're talking about Cristiano Ronaldo's 2006-2007 breakthrough season. We're going to look at exactly how a player managed to take just an almost insurmountable level of public pressure and somehow transform it into absolute dominance. I mean, if you want to understand the actual anatomy of a sporting breakthrough, this right here, this is the masterclass.
Listen to this quote for a second. To Cristiano, the boos weren't a deterrent. They were oxygen. That perfectly captures the psychology we're dealing with. After the World Cup incident that previous summer, trust me, the British public hadn't forgotten a thing. They fully intended to break him mentally. He was coming back to England with literally an entire nation actively rooting for his downfall. But, well, they grossly underestimated the young Portuguese winger. Because instead of crumbling, he took all that collective burning hatred and channeled it into this terrifyingly focused competitive fury. Taking the pitch at the start of that Premier League season, it honestly felt like stepping into an arena of gladiators for him. Every single away stadium in the country welcomed him with this deafening, hostile wall of boos, whistles, and just vicious insults the second his boot touched the ball. It was an environment completely designed to be suffocating.
Section 1. Public Enemy Number 1. Section 2. Shattering the media narrative.
You see, the media hostility was absolutely relentless leading up to opening day against Fulham. And the massive elephant in the room, the exact question plastered across literally every sports page, was this: how would Ronaldo and Wayne Rooney interact? Following all that World Cup drama, the media narrative had heavily hyped up this supposedly fractured dressing room. Everyone was wondering, could these two incredibly talented, fiercely driven young stars actually play together? Or was the whole team just destined to implode under the weight of this rivalry? The tension was absolutely palpable.
Well, the answer was delivered in perfect, devastating harmony. The resolution came within just minutes of kickoff. Ronaldo scores this brilliantly executed volley. Rooney scores a brace. But honestly, the most crucial moment was what happened right after. Those two players embraced, tightly, right there on the pitch. That single image sent a loud, undeniable message. Manchester United stood united. And Cristiano, he was about to unleash an absolute storm.
Section 3. Becoming a goal-scoring engine.
Now, this storm wasn't just born out of raw emotion. It was a fundamental structural change in how he played. You can see the stark contrast here. Before, we had the old Ronaldo, the showman, right? We all remember him hugging the touchline, heavily prioritizing those flashy, sometimes unproductive stepovers that looked amazing but didn't always yield a final product. But then, he transforms into the goal-scoring engine. He became significantly more direct. He started utilizing that explosive speed not just to run down the wing, but to violently cut inside towards the goal, setting himself up to unleash these lethal strikes.
So the big question is, how did he actually make this jump? Well, he worked incredibly closely behind the scenes with assistant coach René Meulensteen to execute 3 specific tactical steps. Step 1 was vastly improving his off-the-ball movement, really learning how to manipulate space when he didn't even have possession. Step 2 focused on optimizing his penalty box positioning, knowing exactly where to be to intercept crosses and passes. And Step 3, drilling sheer, efficient finishing with either foot, no hesitation. This calculated evolution is exactly what turned the flashy winger into an unstoppable force.
Section 4. The Undisputed King.
When you combine that ferocious psychological motivation with his brand new tactical framework, the result is just absolute dominance. Watching this build throughout the season is incredible. We start in August 2006 with that harmonious destruction of Fulham. Fast forward to December, and those deafening away boos, they had started to fade into this reluctant, almost awestruck silence. Defenders literally couldn't get close to him. He dragged United through those grueling winter fixtures, snagging back-to-back Player of the Month awards. Then, that unshakable confidence absolutely exploded on the European stage in April 2007. He scored his first-ever Champions League goals with a double during that historic 7-1 demolition of Roma. And finally, it all culminated in May 2007, crowning them Premier League champions.
I really want you to think about the number 4 here, because it had been 4 long years since Manchester United had last won a Premier League title. By driving this team to the championship, Ronaldo didn't just win a trophy, he was the primary catalyst in dethroning Jose Mourinho's heavily favored Chelsea squad. He fundamentally shifted the entire balance of power in English football right back to Old Trafford.
And hey, if you need undeniable, concrete proof of his newly minted status, just look at his historic award sweep. He didn't just win, he took home all 4 main end-of-season awards. By securing both the PFA and FWA honors, he became the very first player in the entire history of the sport to achieve that clean sweep in a single year.
The statistical and critical consensus wasn't just clear, it was completely unanimous.
Which leaves us to ponder the core: what happens when you turn an entire nation's hatred into the ultimate fuel for perfection? Well, you get the 2006-2007 season. You get a player who arrived back in England as public enemy number one, yet, through this crazy combination of sheer footballing genius, total tactical reinvention, and an utterly unbreakable will, ended the campaign as the undisputed king. It is a phenomenal testament to the power of focus. Thanks for joining.